Beerus changed his cheerful attitude to a serious one and asked, "What did you ask me, little one? I think I haven't heard you well." "Fuck, it's not the nice attitude I expected, but it's not the worst situation." Broly, still bowing respectfully, replied, "I had asked, if you would be so kind to have a training combat with me, sir." Beerus, without changing too much the serious expression, replied, "I don't understand you very well. I thought you knew perfectly how powerful I am. I admit that you are much stronger than Vegeta, but you don't even get close to Frieza's level. You are between a flea and a dog. We could say that you are a little hamster for now. Do you expect a little hamster to face a god? Frankly, I don't understand you. Either you are excessively arrogant or you are a fool." Broly replied, "It's nothing like that, Mr. Beerus. I understand perfectly what my level of power is, and I know very well that I don't have a single possibility or even make you sweat. It wasn't my intention to challenge you in any way or offend you, sir." Beerus crossed his arms with a more relaxed attitude and said, "I'm listening to you, keep going." "Well, it seems he's willing to listen." Broly bowed and said, "It's very likely that I can never have an opportunity like this, to be able to experiment with my own body how incredible is the most powerful person in the Wola universe. If I am only able to learn 0.000000000000000000000000000000001% of you, it would be something wonderful, sir, the best birthday gift that I could wish for. It's not my birthday, but this increased the points to make him accept. That's why I asked for a training match, sir. It would be an indescribable honor. Of course, I will not ask you to help me for nothing, sir. I don't have much, but I have a lot of good food cooked by me in that house on the right. If you help me, I will prepare everything you want and you can take what you want too." First, I caught their attention watching them with my Jugun/N. Next, I have created a good impression by being very polite, respectful and flattering without looking like a toady without self-esteem. At the same time, I have given to understand that I am not an ordinary person, increasing the good impression of them. Finally, I've given those gluttons good food. According to my forecast, if I ask for a combat training in those terms, with respect and adulation adding a reward in the form of food, he should accept. In addition, considering that they are in a hurry and that they will want the food, they will leave me alive to prepare the food." Beerus, hearing especially the part where Broly mentioned the food, asked enthusiastically, "Food? Is that food as good as the one you gave us a moment ago?" Whis also had a similar reaction. "Great. I wanted that face." Broly cheerfully replied, "That's right, sir, I have the same or more tasty things." Beerus licked his lips like a cat and said, "It's okay. I accept your request. We're a bit rushed, but I am a kind god, and it is not a problem to teach my grandiosity to a boy as respectful as you." Broly, very happy with his answer, said, "Thank you so much, Mr. Beerus, you just turned me into the happiest scion in the universe." Beerus, extremely reaffirmed and satisfied of himself, said, "It's nothing, it's nothing. The combat will last 3 minutes. The first minute I'll just dodge. In the second minute I will just dodge and block. In the third minute, I will dodge, block and attack. Are you ready? 1 minute to attack." "He wants to kill me." However, at that moment Mr. Whis intervened, "Are you sure, Mr. Beerus? You barely know how to hold back. Do you prefer me to do the training match?" Beerus replied with his typical tantrum, "Who did you take me for? Do you think I don't know how to restrict my strength? That I am a brute who destroys everything in its path? It's a training match, of course I will not cause irreparable damage. Also, if I kill him I will not be able to taste his food, of course I will know how to contain myself." Beerus went to Broly and said, "Let's start, little boy, come to me without fear, and remember your promise." "I'm a bit scared about the last minute, but the offer is perfect for my needs." "Yes, sir." Broly launched himself at Beerus at full speed with the intention of punching him in the chest. However, Beerus dodged it in an extremely easy and simple way. From that punch followed another 30 punches and kicks, but Beerus dodged them with the speed and gracility of a butterfly. He didn't even need to open his eyes. Broly had the Jugun, which allowed him to observe the movements of the muscles of the body clearly, so he could anticipate the movements of his adversary. At the same time he also had the N, which due to his great handling of the ki, which was beginning to find a way to merge it with his Nen, allowed him to create an N of 2 kilometers around him that could stay active during the fight, thus allowing the Jugun to be extended to all that area. With this advantage, Broly was able to observe in detail the movements of Beerus from all angles. Even so, trying to follow and understand Beerus' movements was like trying to follow the full trajectory of a ray of light, being a myopic, an impossible feat. However, Broly wasn't discouraged. He understood that the breach would be something like that. He just needed to keep attacking. Although Broly was unable to connect any blow, Whis and Beerus noticed something impressive. With each stroke the next was more precise. With each step the next was faster. With each reaction the action was better. This child is learning while fighting at a monstrous pace. Every time he makes less unnecessary movements, and he does them in a more automatic and instinctive way. It was as if his nearsightedness was being cured, being able to see the ray of light with more clarity. Yes. 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 I'm improving. Ha 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 ha, I was right. This is so exciting. So intoxicating. Ha ha ha, is this what it means to be a scion? That's why Goku always looked for strong rivals so urgently. Ha ha ha, I begin to understand him. I just hope I don't become a goosehead like him. Broly still did not hit a single blow against Beerus, so he changed his strategy. Broly used the movement he was practicing for this situation, 36 Omega Comets. Around Broly appeared 36 spheres of green ki, which followed him as he continued attacking Beerus body to body. When Beerus dodged one of his attacks, Broly sent 3 or 6 of those spheres against him, which thanks to his great control and telekinesis were following him at the rhyme that he attacked in melee style. Beerus, without disheveled while dodging all attacks from all directions, said, "It's not a bad idea. With this strategy you could seriously defeat someone stronger than you." How? But before I could finish the sentence, the 27 of the 36 ki spheres that had managed to surround him exploded at the same time in a terrible way. However, Beerus, who reappeared right behind Broly, whispered to his ear, "However, the difference between us is too big to work against me. The first minute has already passed, now I will block some of your caresses. Come to me," he said as he pointed to him to come with his finger. "There I go," said Broly. Broly charged against Beerus, who waited for him without moving in the least. When he reached the same distance as Beerus, it began to rain a storm of blows, which Beerus casually stopped with his little finger, without moving or retreat. Broly was using practically all of his aura on his fists, legs and even his tail, concentrating 100% of his nen and ki at the exact moment he attacked, creating a stronger than normal blow. Beerus and Whis were surprised again. He's hitting harder than anyone of his level would, and he's also hitting harder every time. Not only learn to move better while fighting, also learn to attack better, more precisely, with more speed and more power. It was as if the little hamster of the beginning was slowly becoming a big rat with sharper claws and fangs. Broly, who had calculated that he had practically finished the second minute, prepared to launch his last attack, the dual Rasen Omega Blaster. Broly, using the concept of Naruto's Rasengan, which, although it was extremely repetitive in Naruto, he found it a practical and fascinating concept. He created 2 spheres, one in each hand, 2 ki green Rasengan mixed with nen, and he threw them to Beerus, causing a great explosion and destruction, of which Beerus left completely unharmed once again. What an interesting technique. You have managed to mold your ki, and another type of energy, in a very curious way. Many attacks with more ki couldn't have rivaled your attack. I didn't know that the Scions had techniques as advanced as this. Is it your invention? Beerus asked solemnly. That's right, sir, I invented it a few weeks ago, Broly answered while catching her breath. You are an intelligent child, there is no doubt. We have already checked how you move and how you attack. Let's see how you defend yourself, Beerus said as he loaded his finger. I hope not to die. Broly at this last minute would use all his energy to increase his defense and speed, so he used practically all his aura on his Ken to mitigate Beerus' attacks whatever the direction. And the beating began. Beerus began to attack with his fingers from all directions at a great speed. Although none of Beerus' attacks were deadly and properly matched Broly's level of power, each one of those fingertips was enough to knock him down. As the beating continued, Broly was able to get used to the rhythm of Beerus' blows, getting on his guard a few times and protecting himself. But once Broly managed to protect himself, Beerus again increased the rate of his attacks, making them more fast and powerful. The normal thing would be that, when receiving all those blows, Broly was more tired, weaker, and with less energy, since there was a direct relationship between damage suffered and loss of energy. However, Before them something unusual was happening, something much more unusual than his great capacity for learning and strange eye. His wounds healed quickly, and when he healed... Hey, really? What kind of creature are you, little monster? Beerus said in amazement for the first time during the fight. Whis, who was watching the fight placidly while eating a snack that he had prepared, said, I had heard that the Scions have a great speed of recovery, and that once they have recovered from a battle their body adapts to the wound suffered to make it stronger, and the stronger the wound the greater the power they get, but I had never heard of one recovering so quickly and with such power. Yes, continues like this god of destruction. Give me more power. Show me more. Broly continued to defend himself as best he could, and Beerus, fascinated by how strong Broly could become and how long he could hold, he began to increase the intensity of his blows. Broly reached a point that could not barely move due to the avalanche of blows that came. Beerus had been too excited, and despite the intensity of the blows was within the tolerable, the number of blows became immense. So shabby it hit that Broly did not have time to recover minimally from the last 100 blows when he hit the 300. Broly really believed that he would die. If it hadn't been for Whis' intervention, he surely would have been dead. Mr. Beerus, I think the minute has passed. How about we finish the fight? Whis said as he stopped with his cane the blows of Beerus that were aimed at Broly, which fell backwards to the ground. Beerus, surprised, said, Has a minute gone by? I guess the time goes by fast when you have a good time, ha ha ha. Are you still alive, little one? He said as he looked at Broly, dying on the floor. I think. Yes, it's been awesome, Mr. Beerus, thank you very much, said Broly, trying to recover his breath and the mobility of the body. Oh, look what you've done, Mr. Beerus. In the state that you've left him, I doubt he can prepare the food he promised us, Whis said melodramatically while Beerus looked somewhat embarrassed and annoyed by his own actions and consequences. But Broly, who was slowly recovering from his wounds and regaining his energy, said as he began to levitate, Don't worry, a promise is a promise. Then I prepare the food, in fact I'm already preparing it with telekinesis, accompany me to my house. Aw, it hurts. Beerus with a smile, approached Broly, and asked him, You're still too weak to even hit me or receive my attacks, even when I'm suppressing myself to do much, but, you did well despite that. Tell me, little one, what is your name? My name is Broly, Mr. Beerus answered Broly, suspended in the air with the help of Beerus. Broly. I'll remember that name. If you like this content, don't forget to like and subscribe. See you later, bye bye.